Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to today's spooky special episode. So, it's a Halloween episode. Welcome. Happy Halloween. If you are normally a Spotify listener, I highly recommend hopping over onto my YouTube channel so that you can watch the video and you can fully appreciate my Halloween costume. I'm not going to say much other than I'm wearing a mask and some spooky makeup. And if you want to see the costume, you'll just have to come over to my YouTube channel. So, without further ado, let's get into today's scary episode. um, this is the mask that I'm going to be wearing to go out tonight with my friends. So, this is kind of the test to see if it's comfortable enough. Like, I can breathe, I can talk. This is the test to see if I can actually deal with wearing this mask for the full evening. I think it should be fine. So far, it's pretty comfortable. So let's see how it goes. So, of course, today the episode is themed around Halloween. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, as you can probably tell. I grew up in Bermuda, where trick-or-treating and wearing costumes were very traditional, and it was always a really fun time to be creative, to get into this spooky spirit and kind of watch like scary movies. And of course, as a child, getting free candy. I mean, is there anything better than that? I don't think so. So, welcome to today's episode. Let's dive into the spooky and fascinating world of Halloween. So, we are going to explore a few different themes. Of course, we're going to be talking about the history of Halloween and the cultural significance, but we are also going to be looking at some vocabulary and phrasal verbs that might be useful for you as an English learner. So grab your pumpkin spiced lattes and let's get started. So, firstly, let's discuss the cultural significance of Halloween a little bit. Halloween is celebrated on today, October 31st, and it has deep roots in history and culture. It originated from a Celtic festival that is called Samhain. It's spelled Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. So this marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. During Samhain, the Celts believed that the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, which means mixed. Like the lines were mixed together. The living and the dead could communicate and the spirits could roam the earth. So, today, of course, Halloween is a time for fun, costumes, and community. It encourages creativity as people dress up and decorate their homes with spooky themes, but it also holds cultural significance, celebrating this transition from life to death and also reflecting on our connections to our ancestors and some traditions. As you can see, Halloween is not just about fright and scary costumes, but it's deeply intertwined with a lot of different cultural practices and beliefs. So let's talk a little bit about countries that celebrate Halloween first. While Halloween is most closely associated with the United States, many countries around the world have their own versions of this spooky holiday. For example, you probably know that in Mexico, hi, shout out to any of my Mexican followers, they celebrate Dia de los Muertos, which means the Day of the Dead, and that is celebrated from October 31st until November 2nd. It's a very beautiful and colorful celebration that honors your deceased loved ones. And it features altars, which are dedicated to those loved ones, marigolds, and of course, sugar skulls. Ireland, of course, is significant because that is the birthplace of this Samhain that I just briefly mentioned. There are many traditional customs, which include bonfires and costumes, and those traditions are still practiced today. And it's a time for a lot of storytelling and folklore. Sorry, I I have to adjust my mask because it's hurting me a little bit. I told you this was the test. This was the test. I don't know if it's going to be okay. All right, let's move on to Japan. In recent years, it's actually gaining popularity. Halloween is becoming more and more popular, especially in urban areas. So people enjoy dressing up and attending parades. And actually, Tokyo hosts some of the largest celebrations for Halloween. I think celebrating Halloween in Japan would be really cool. So, as you can see, these different celebrations show how cultures can adapt and blend traditions while maintaining those unique identities. So, let's talk a bit about how Halloween has evolved within the USA. So, the United States, where Halloween has become a massive celebration, it's estimated that Americans spend over 10 billion each year on Halloween related expenses, from costumes to decorations, and of course, candy. So, in neighborhoods across the country, homes are transformed into haunted houses with spooky decorations. I know a lot of people in America go all out and they really decorate their houses. Children often participate in trick or treating, which, if you don't know, is knocking on a door and saying trick or treat, and then the people give you candy, or they might give you a trick, some type of magic trick or another type of prank. So the treat is the candy, and the trick might be something bad. So, families in America often host costume parties, and communities might organize Halloween parades or other types of festivals. And it's a time for creativity and fun, and people of all ages can get involved. As you can see, I'm 27 years old and I still love Halloween and I still dress up, and I'm going out tonight with my friends to celebrate Halloween. So, I think it's for everybody. Like, honestly, it's just fun. Like, who doesn't like dressing up? Well, I know a lot of people don't like dressing up, but me personally, I love doing anything like childlike and kind of keeping my young spirit alive and just having fun. So let's not forget about one of the most iconic Halloween traditions, one of my personal favorites, carving jack-o'-lanterns. So what the heck? What is a jack-o'-lantern? It's a pumpkin that you carve. You take all the insides out of the pumpkin, and then you carve a face or some type of design on the outside of the pumpkin. And then, in order to make it a lantern, you put a little tiny candle on the inside so that it glows from the inside out. This practice originated from an Irish myth. It was about a man, sorry, a man named Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil and was doomed to wander the earth with only a carved turnip to light his way. So, turnips are a smaller type of vegetable, which are related to pumpkins, but they're much, much smaller. When Irish immigrants came to America, they actually found that pumpkins were more plentiful. There were more pumpkins growing, and they were much easier to carve. So, this is what led to the tradition of carving pumpkins, also known as Jack o' lanterns, and that's the tradition that we know today. Carving pumpkins has become a beloved family activity. It's especially fun with young children, and people gather to create intricate designs and display their creations outside of their houses, normally on your front porch or near your front door, to welcome trick-or-treaters to your house. I used to love seeing the warm glow of the jack-o'-lanterns, and it always added a really magical touch to Halloween night. And anytime you saw a jack-o'-lantern in someone's house, you always knew that they were inviting you to trick or treat, especially if people had their houses with like lots of decorations outside. You always knew that that was definitely a place where you could trick or treat. Honestly, my neighborhood when I was a kid in Bermuda was the best neighborhood for trick-or-treating, and I'm pretty sure it still is today. People actually used to put a bunch of kids in a car, drive them all over from different neighborhoods, and drop their kids in my neighborhood to trick or treat because that's how good it was. I lived in a really big neighborhood which had loads of different places to go to, and everybody was super into decorating for Halloween. And I feel really grateful for growing up in that neighborhood because it just created so many fun childhood memories of Halloween. And I think that's one of the reasons why Halloween is associated for me with such a fun, warm time. And it wasn't until I grew up a little bit and I moved to Europe that I realized that Halloween isn't that popular here. And it made me really sad for the children because I thought, oh my goodness, like Halloween was something I looked forward to every year, like free candy, dressing up. As a kid, it was like the best thing ever. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I got to experience that. So let's get into our vocabulary section of today's episode. Let's add a little twist of some ESL knowledge and some Halloween themed vocab. So, of course, our first word is costume. Costume. So, a costume is a set of clothes that you wear in order to represent a certain thing or a character. For example, I am wearing a skeleton costume, I guess. This kind of looks like a dinosaur jaw or a dinosaur skeleton, so I guess I'm like a scary zombie dinosaur costume. I don't really know. I there wasn't really much vision this Halloween. A few Halloweens ago, I was a vampire, and that was a cool costume. But this year's costume is just like a little bit random, but it's spooky, so that's good. Of course, our next phrase is trick or treat. Remember, I told you that is the act of children going door to door asking for candy with the phrase trick or treat. And you always knock on the door and say trick or treat. Like, you have to say trick or treat. It's just like, that's the rules. The next word or phrase actually is haunted house. A haunted house is a spooky house or attraction that's decorated to scare visitors. In my school, we used to have a haunted hallway. So within the school, they decorated this hallway, and each classroom was a different spooky room. And there was crazy stuff going on in these rooms. And you used to go inside, and then some actors would scare you, and there would be something going on in each room. And I used to love walking through the haunted house, but I was always super scared. I always went with my friends, and we were screaming the whole time. um, the next one is phantom or ghost. That is the spirit of a dead person that is believed to appear to the living. So many people will say that they've seen ghosts before. I've never seen a ghost, and I don't really want to. I don't really want to. Like, I love horror movies, I love scary things, but like, do I want to see a ghost? No, no, I don't. So please, nobody haunt me. I don't want to see any ghosts. I'm pretty good with just living things. Let's have a look at some phrasal verbs that can be related to Halloween. So we talked about costume. The phrasal verb that goes with costume is to dress up. When you dress up, it means you put on a costume. For example, I am going to dress up as a vampire. When we just use the word dress, normally the verb to dress, it just means put on your clothes. But when you dress up, it means that you're dressing specially for something. So to dress up can also be just to wear really nice clothes. So maybe it's like my sister's birthday party, and I say, I'm going to dress up nicely tonight. So it can just mean to put special clothes. But especially when we're talking about costumes, we have to use the phrasal verb dress up. So you might ask somebody, what are you going to dress up as this year for Halloween? The next phrasal verb is to scare away. To scare away. This means to scare someone so much that they run away or they leave a place. For example, the loud noises scared away the trick-or-treaters. Our next spooky Halloween phrasal verb is to light up. To light up. To light up means to illuminate something. We often use this phrasal verb when we're talking about Jacko Lanterns. We light up the pumpkins or the Jacko Lanterns on Halloween night. Our last phrasal verb is to bring out. To bring out. This means to make something available or visible. For example, when you knock on someone's door and you say trick or treat, they bring out some candy. Or every October, we bring out our Halloween decorations. So these phrases are not just relevant to Halloween, you can use them in all sorts of different contexts, and they're really useful just for your everyday English. So, boys and girls, I hope you had a scary time. I hope that my spooky costume didn't scare you too much and that you could focus on today's episode. In conclusion, I would say I love Halloween. I think it's a really fun time. It's definitely a multifaceted celebration that has evolved from ancient traditions to a modern holiday that's more about fun and family and children and community. So, whether you're trick or treating in the USA or celebrating Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, I think the spirit of Halloween can somehow connect us all. Even if it's not part of your culture and maybe you don't celebrate for religious reasons, I think it's nice to be able to appreciate it, to learn about it a little bit, and to kind of learn about different cultures and what they do. I think that's always fun. I always like learning about people's cultures even if I don't participate in their celebrations or traditions, I find it fascinating to learn as much as I can about as many different cultures as I can. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And let me know if you have any favorite Halloween traditions or stories. I would love to hear about them. If you have some type of different cultural celebration that you celebrate around this time, end of October, please do let me know. I would love to learn about it. And thank you guys so much for joining me on this spooky adventure today. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me a follow on Spotify, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Happy Halloween. Bye.